Do you think that immigration and customs enforcement agents are evil people? Do you think that Customs and Border Patrol are soulless monsters? What would you think if I said that believing that is actually harming the resistance? At the very least, I think it's causing us to overlook a really important chance to undermine a powerful pillar of support under the regime. I think we all know by now that authoritarians are weak rulers. Donald Trump is at a point in this regime where he is trying to swiftly consolidate power because he is fantastically weak. All of this rapid escalation of his violent tactics in Minnesota, all of the attempt to subvert the midterm elections, those are not shows of strength. Those are very visible demonstrations of the way that Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, and the regime are incredibly, incredibly weak in this moment. And so they're frantic. They're panicking. They are frantically trying to clamp down and to get you to give up. But all along, he's never been powerful. One, he's never had the consent of the governed. Donald Trump has never had a majority of Americans supporting him. Unlike some other authoritarian regimes where the leader has been really popular initially, there's been a lot of popular backing. Donald Trump never had a majority of people in favor of what he's been doing, what his plans are. And he's become increasingly more unpopular over the last year. And not just increasingly unpopular, but like actively pissing off more and more Americans from more and more quadrants, right? Activating people for resistance who otherwise, were either apathetic or maybe like a little bit in favor of what he was doing. He's on his own, completely unforced error, managed to activate millions and millions of resistors. But he's never once been powerful. All authoritarians rely on these pillars of support underneath them to hold them up and keep them in power. And one of those pillars of support, right, there's like the press. Obviously, the press is super corrupt in this country. There are colleges like Columbia University. There's big law like Paul Weiss and Skadden Arps. There are corporations like Hilton, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Avilo Airlines, we could keep going, Target, Home Depot, who are all willing to do the bidding of the regime. All of these collaborators, all of these pillars are what keep him in power. If everybody withdrew their support from Donald Trump, he would topple very, very quickly. And so that's why effective civil resistance doesn't really target the autocrat at all. It targets all of these pillars under here to get them to crumble, to get them to withdraw. You want to topple an authoritarian regime, you pull away the supports underneath it. And one of those big pillars, one of those supports is Donald Trump's paramilitary, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Customs and Border Patrol, DHS. And especially CBP, I think, is more violent and lawless and more skilled, unfortunately, than ICE is. But the people who work for DHS, they're still people. They're still human beings. And that means that they actually are vulnerable to effective psychological tactics and pressure to get them to withdraw their support, to get them to be non-compliant. You just have to understand what the pressure points are and then go for them. Believing that these guys are completely inhuman, that they're evil monsters, that is depriving us of a chance to use effective tactics against them. It's believing that they're unreachable. It actually reinforces their narrative that they are like super soldiers, that they are above the law, that they're somehow superhuman and different from the rest of us. And that's not true. They very thoroughly dehumanized all of us, and we have to make sure that we don't dehumanize them. Dehumanization is not a strength. It is a profound weakness. It enables these men to commit horrific acts of violence against immigrants, against American citizens, against children, right? If they can dehumanize everybody, then it doesn't have the same psychological blow for them when they beat us and they abduct us and they murder us in the streets. Sorry, my poodle's excited. My husband just got home from a Magic the Gathering tournament, so if you want to know what a former college football player is doing on Super Bowl Sundays, playing Magic the Gathering. I know DHS wants you to think that the men who work for them, it is overwhelmingly men, there are some women, but that the men who work for them are untouchable, that they can't be reached, and that they cannot be convinced to withdraw their support to become non-compliant with the regime. But that's not true. And we know from other successful nonviolent resistance movements around the world that undermining the law enforcement pillar of support has been a really important component in winning, in toppling the authoritarian. I definitely like to point to the Otpor movement in Serbia, the way that they were constantly engaging with law enforcement. They were constantly talking to them, reminding them like, hey, we're your children. We're your neighbor. We could be your family member. You don't want to kill us. You don't want to do this. You're better than this. Remember who you are. They didn't expect to have successful conversations in the moment, but months and months and months of them speaking to law enforcement regularly this way. This is law enforcement that was beating them, arresting them without cause, jailing them, speaking to them human being to human being was extremely effective, so that when the moment came that Slobodan Milosevic ordered them to fire on civilians, they wouldn't do it. They put down their weapons. So please understand, we're not looking for a momentary, you're not going to convince some ICE agent. What you're doing is you're planting seeds that are going to grow in his mind, that he's going to be thinking about when he's reading to his children at night, when he is calling his mom on the phone. I know it's easier to believe that these agents are soulless monsters than to truly evil men, than to understand that they're just human beings. They're just human beings, and they've been conditioned to dehumanize you and to disconnect from their own conscience. But that it's not actually a waste of time to continue to engage with them, to continue to work to erode those pillars. You don't have to love them. You don't have to care about them. You can hope all you want that they will face prosecution and go to prison for a long time, right? That's totally normal. That's totally fine. We're thinking tactically, we're thinking strategically about eroding those pillars of support. We need them to question whether or not they want to go along with what Trump is doing. Either because we appeal to their humanity, or because we remind them that, like, hey, there's no statute of limitations on a lot of these crimes that you're committing now. This regime's days are numbered. They will not be in power very much longer. Are you sure you want to continue to be a collaborator? Why don't you quit your job? Why don't you get out now while you can? So there's appealing to their humanity that they're so disconnected from. There is also reminding them that consequences are waiting, and the longer that they continue to collaborate, the worse those consequences will get. Psychological tactics that are meant to get, like Hanoi Hannah, I talked about that last year, right? Psychological tactics against paramilitary, against military, against law enforcement, really, really effective. And let me show you an example that came out, I think it was around Christmas time.
You will be caught. You will be removed, and you will never return. Shows the moment, guys.
Daddy, how's your day?
Your children. God. They'll know. You can walk away before the shame follows you home.
Daddy, how's your day?
A couple of weeks ago, the New York Times put out a piece called A Crisis of Confidence for ICE and Border Patrol as Clashes Escalate. It spoke about how demoralizing the work is that they're doing, how disillusioned they are with the Trump regime and their tactics, their approach. Speaking of Border Patrol agents, morale is in the dumpster. Many of the agents will be very happy to go back to the job they were trained for on the border. One person currently working for ICE said, "We lost all trust. I'm not sure I can see how we exist 3 years from now." So what does it look like for us to not waste our chance here when it comes to eroding this pillar of support?
Want me to know that you're doing this? Huh? Your parents know that you're doing this? You're young, brother. You're young. You have a better future than this. Terrorizing people. Go find another job, man.
Oh, we're watching you. You coming for us, we're coming for you.
Is that a threat?
No.
That sounds like a threat.
No, because we know who you are. When the time comes, we'll have your employee records. We'll know which day you worked. The day will come. A reckoning will come. And The courts will come for you.